Christmas is right around the corner, which means two things: rewatching Die Hard and defending myself from that fat bastard that watches me while I'm sleeping and stalks me while I'm awake. Each year he whispers that I better not run, I better not hide, but this year I am ready. So bring it, you jolly son of a bitch. Now as I suit up to protect myself from that psychopath that calls himself Saint Nick, I threw on a movie called Fatman. Now before I dive into the film, consider supporting me by joining my Subscribestar page or buying a t-shirt off my TeePublic store. Every little bit helps.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
If you aren't able or just here hate watching me, subscribe, hit the like button, and share my video on social media. It really helps my channel. Now back to unwrapping the Fatman. That didn't come out how I intended.
God so help me, you are going to regret all of this so hard.
Fatman, starring Mel Gibson and Walter Goggins, and directed by Ian and Esham Nelms, is an unexpected surprise. I dare say it will become a holiday classic that I will watch every year, along with Christmas Vacation and Die Hard.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Fatman is thoroughly enjoyable, but I feel as though the trailer does a disservice to the movie. I went in expecting something completely different. Well, slightly different. See, I expected a classic Mel Gibson action flick. What we got was more subdued, which isn't a bad thing. The movie works by being grounded in reality. It offers a nuanced look into a disenfranchised Santa that feels like he failed the current generation of children. The more I watched Fatman while I worked on my roast and analysis, the more I came to appreciate what it was doing. The chemistry of the actors shines on screen, the cinematography is gorgeous, and the dialogue is fantastic. Marianne, Jean-Baptiste, and Mel Gibson appear to have the genuine connection of an old married couple. Their dialogue flows like my uncle pouring his 5th glass of eggnog. Effortless. Now you better watch out, because there are potential spoilers up ahead. If you don't want to hear any, stop watching now. The movie begins with a pompous twit wearing a chest full of ribbons. As a rule of thumb, I never trust anyone wearing a ribbon. No good could come from a little shit peacocking their success. Anyways, we see that even his dad is avoiding the ribbon master. I mean, the kid can't even get his grandmother some milk. Then we transition to the Fatman himself as he protects his farm from an invading horde of cans. As Santa fends off the metallic demon spawn, we learn that he's also having money problems. Up next, we are introduced to Jazz Hands, who wears 100% cotton gloves to protect himself from finger-wagging induced injuries.
These are not spirit fingers. These are spirit fingers.
Well, the gloves must be on a little too tight because Spirit Fingers over here is a real prick. Turns out he has an unhealthy obsession with Santa after not getting the toys he wanted as a child. Maybe a participation trophy for sassiest hands would pacify his rage. We then move back to Ribbon Boy, who loses the science fair. Well, of course this little brown noser can't handle it and immediately sees how far he can keister his nose. When that fails, he chooses a nuclear option and calls Fancy Fingers, who turns out to be an assassin. Now back to Kris Kringle, who is carbo loading for a drinking marathon. On his way to crawling inside a bottle, he scares away a dude from going beaver hunting. You see, this peeping Tom knows if you've been bad or good. You ever wonder where those missing socks and underwear go? This fat man is probably sniffing them as we speak. Rule number 2. If someone wears a suit and tie at home, they are 100% a psychopath. And because I'm always right, we see a young Patrick Bateman steal a check from his grandmother and forge her signature. Then future inmate 8472 threatens to torture the little girl who won the science fair. My little sociopath over here is so starved for attention that he can't possibly live without another ribbon.
They stole it from us. No.
What did they steal?
Precious.
Santa arrives back home and finds the United States government waiting for him, along with the general. Santa's already in a bad mood because he only comes once a year.
What kind of stupid, sick, twisted logic?
This little visit only makes things worse. You see, the government pays him based on how many gifts he delivers each year, but the kids have been given participation trophies and grown into unthankful little monsters. With so few packages being delivered, the fat man can't even pay the electric bill. With Kris Kringle in a tight spot, the military wants him to work with them, which puts him in a foul mood. You'd think he'd be much happier since he knows where all the naughty women live. I bet you anything Mrs. Claus is freaky. So, Christmas Day is upon us, and all the boys and girls open their presents. We see little Jason Voorhees run downstairs to open his, but finds Cole instead. This enrages the future serial killer, so he puts a hit out on Santa Claus. Jazz Hands accepts and begins his montage. Yeah!
I broke it.
Did he get jealous of the other guy's finger swag? It appears that little Michael Myers' dad left home for a pack of smokes and never returned. Just like mine. He'll come back one day, right? Right? Then it's back to the finger model, who gets the only piece of useful information out of a government worker in recorded history. Then he heads to Alaska. Having spent his life savings on a tragic sugar plum addiction, Santa announces a partnership with the US military to help deliver the warm embrace of Christmas cheer to all the little deviants hiding in mountain caves. Turns out the elves have adopted corporate America's recommended diet of carbs and sugar, and Santa wants to get his biscuit buttered. Let's take a second to recognize the impeccable acting and characters in the movie. Mel Gibson is at the top of his game. I get chills when he had to break the news to his workers. He exudes concern regarding his decision, and says more through his lack of dialogue than through his words.
Now, I know this must come as a shock to a lot of you. Believe me, had there been any other way.
The characters are all fleshed out with natural motivations driving them. None of their decisions feels forced, and Walter Goggins shines in his role. After the murderous shopping spree by Spirit Fingers, he spots the fat man and follows him through the winter wonderland. Do you think Frosty feels it when you trample through the snow? The movie is well shot with excellent cinematography that flows with action sequences. A lot of thought and detail went into the framing and scene design. The action isn't anything exceptional, it is rather subdued. But that actually works in this movie's favor. A John Wick sequence would feel out of place in this gritty world. After the assassin racks up a new high score in Elf Hunter, he confronts the big man himself. Then there's a showdown at high noon, where Santa unleashes his frustration over his repressive diet, and Finger Swagger releases his pent-up daddy issues. In the end, daddy issues trumps all others. Strip clubs across the nation thank you. But Mrs. Claus ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
She then ices the kid at the top of the naughty list with a flintlock pistol. Then it's back to Patrick Bateman, who is conducting a little chemistry experiment with his grandmother's pills. Well, the big guy shows up and has a long overdue heart-to-heart with the little monster to set him on the straight and narrow. If the spoiled brat fails, Santa will express deliver a can of whoop-ass.
You don't have to come and confess that you did it. We're looking for you. We gonna find you. I'm letting you know now, so you can run and tell that, homeboy.
The movie ends with the elves rebuilding Santa's sweatshop so they can go back to a lifetime of indentured servitude. What I really appreciate about Fatman is the attention to detail. In the end scene, we see that Santa saved the assassin's gerbil, which should prevent PETA from bursting a blood vessel. I can't help but feel the movie missed an opportunity by showing how a little kid got a piece of coal and developed an unhealthy obsession with Santa, to ultimately trying to assassinate him. From the beginning, I thought that's what tied Patrick Bateman and Jazz Hands together. But the movie was still fantastic. I have no doubt it will go down as a future holiday classic. So, if you're looking for a new movie to watch over the holidays, check out Fatman. It is well worth it, and you'll help send Santa to rehab for his sugar plum addiction. Before this video ends, I want to give a big shout out to Theme Park Casual, who's kind enough to give this Yeti some holiday cheer. He's a graphic designer, so if you need something made, send some business his way. If you don't, you'll become Yeti food. Now scram before I change my mind.